you're the parent of a college-age young man or that age yourself, well, then you know all men in this country have to register in case the country ever brings back the draft. But that only applies to men, not women. And Republican Senator Josh Hawley and 5 others in the Senate want to make sure it stays that way, even threatening to block Pentagon funding if language adding women to the draft pool isn't removed from next year's National Defense Authorization Act. Now, while the military ended compulsory service in 1973, there's language included that would make women draft eligible and require all American women and men, 18 to 25, to register with the Selective Service System, which keeps track of all those eligible to serve in case of a national emergency. This week, Hawley announced he is ramping up his campaign to block those changes. He said that it's, quote, wrong to force our daughters, mothers, wives, and sisters to fight our wars. He says that while female volunteers have played a critical role in the military, there is a difference between volunteering to enlist and being compelled to do so. Momentum to include women in the Selective Service System has been building, in particular since 2015, when women were made eligible for combat roles. In 2019, a federal court in Texas ruled that the men-only draft was unconstitutional. However, that decision was reversed in August 2020. In March of 2020, the congressionally created National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service recommended women be required to register and be eligible if the draft is reinstated. And this past January, the ACLU petitioned the Supreme Court on behalf of the National Coalition of Men, arguing that now that women are eligible for combat roles, keeping them ineligible for the draft is a violation of men's Fifth Amendment rights to equal protection under the law. And in April, President Biden asked the court to let Congress resolve the issue, which brings us to today. In July, Hawley was one of 5 Republicans on the Senate Armed Services Committee to vote against adding women to the draft pool. He was joined by Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton in voting against the Pentagon authorization bill because of their concerns about women registering. Now, this is not just conservative lawmakers who are against the change either. Making women draft eligible isn't apparently overwhelmingly popular with the general public. An Ipsos poll from August shows that support for drafting women fell nearly 20% from 2016 to 2021, dropping from 63% to 45%. Today, according to the poll, about 1/3 of American women support the idea of compelling women to serve, compared to 55% of men. I question that poll with the dip that much in that period of time. But look, we are all hoping we can keep the military voluntary. But with the U.S. population growth at an 80-year low, and with many of draft-age Americans, both women and men, deemed unfit for military service, expanding the draft to include women would also provide much-needed additional human capital in the event that it ever gets reinstated. What about equality? I don't see how you can say that women should not be required to register if we're demanding that women be treated equally in every other arena in the workplace, in sports, and the military itself. There are certainly ways to create exemptions, and if there are particular roles better suited to men, then so be it. But I don't think that should lead us to say that women shouldn't still be required to register. Someone who does not agree with me is Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, and he joins us now. Tony, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, so tell me, what do I have wrong here?
Well, Dan, I think let's look. We've had the Selective Service in place since 1917. So what's changed? What's changed in terms of the military's mission? Military's mission is to fight and to win wars. That remains the same. The military has always been treated as a different entity. And, there's nothing that's really changed about warfare in terms of fighting wars. The only thing we're talking about here is accommodating maybe an agenda that is not exclusively designed to help our military advance its mission. So I don't think there's any... Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So were you opposed to women serving in combat roles at all?
Well, let's talk about combat. Women now, when they are in an advanced position in the ground, today's combat's much different. You don't have a front line. It's very, they're in a combat situation. Now, you talk about serving in a frontline combat unit. Yeah, that's different. That's much different. You look at what the military has done to try to accommodate the change in women serving in combat roles. They've changed the combat fitness standards. And what's happening right now, Dan, is nearly half of all women are failing the combat readiness fitness exams. Men are about 7%. Look, the reality is there's a biological difference between men and women. Combat is about physical. It's physical, and it requires.
So it sounds
a
like you
certain
oppose
stamina.
it. So you oppose women serving in combat roles?
In frontline combat units. Anytime you're on the ground today, you're in a combat situation. Frontline combat units are much different. I
Right, so
served in
you
the Marine
oppose
Corps.
that.
I was a frontline, what we call grunt in the military. I was an 03. Much different, very demanding, biologically different. Now, there are some women.
But what? Right, I was going to say, why can't we just allow women? Again, I'm okay with deciding based on achievement, based on testing, whatever the case may be, that certain people, men or women, won't be physically able to do certain things. But there are going to be women who can be up there, and there are going to be women who can. And maybe you're right that there'll be more women who don't pass it. But the point is, why immediately say, because you just said what's changed, and then you told us how much has changed, right? About what combat roles mean, for example. A lot has changed in what a military is. And it would seem to me that there are a lot of roles.
Not the military's mission. Not the military's mission. The military's mission remains the same, and what we should be doing is keeping. Yeah, but Dan, what has happened where we have used the military to advance a social agenda or some cultural issue rather than staying focused on its. Well, you can't put it aside because that's the purpose of the military. That's the problem.
Well, no, but I'm not doing this for a cultural agenda. I'm strictly. My mother served in the Israeli army. All right, in 1956, she served in a war on behalf of Israel. But you know what she did? She was in the weather. All right, so she was responsible for determining what the weather was. I'm not saying that's necessarily a woman's job. She had to go through combat. She had to go through training. She had to do a lot of hard work, et cetera. But it seems to me that there's going to be a place for women and men, but for everybody to at least register to say, you know what, we can find a place for everybody. And the idea that we're saying only men should be registering just seems so outdated to me.
Well, see, I don't even think we need the system of registration anymore. I think it's outlived its purpose. Look, for the last 50 years, we've had an all-volunteer force, and it's worked quite well. We even during 20 years of Afghanistan, the Marine Corps, which I am partial to, had no problem meeting its recruiting requirements. Even when you knew you signed up, you were going to go to combat, most likely, they still met their requirements because they stayed focused on their mission. And I think what's happening, we get off of the mission and we start focusing on these other issues. And I think that's why the public's opinion of this has dropped, because they thought about it. I've got 5 children, 3 daughters. I've got one who's a trauma nurse. I've got one who's in law school to be a lawyer. I've got one who is on track to go into law enforcement, which I did. And I support each of them in the choices they make. But I would not want any of the 3 to be forced to register and to serve if they did not want to.
But I don't want my son to be forced either. But that's the reality, right? I want him to serve his country, and I just don't see why we differentiate between men and women. You get the final word.
Well, I'm just saying that men, biologically, there's a big difference between men and women. And if men are drafted in an emergency to serve in a combat situation, they are better equipped to do it than women.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.